Believe it or not, a brand new Fallout game will be out in just a couple months, on November 14th, 2018 to be exact. Now, it's been some time since Fallout 76 was announced, and it's safe to say that reception is still quite mixed. Some people are fine with Bethesda trying something different with the popular franchise by focusing on multiplayer. Others would have preferred a single-player spin-off akin to New Vegas. Some are interested in Bethesda's proposal of an online survival RPG experience, while others shun the very idea of it. Now, within the Fallout 76 feedback spectrum, there is bound to be some extreme feedback, and on the negative side of things, there are those who have expressed some pretty harsh sentiments. Interestingly, I've actually found that some people are worried that Fallout 76 will be to Fallout what Metal Gear Survive was to Metal Gear, and this is something I'd like to discuss. I will admit I can see to some extent why this comparison is being drawn. If you think about it, both of these games took a traditionally narrative-driven single-player video game series and made a prequel spin-off built with a repurposed version of an existing engine and existing assets that can only be played online and focuses on multiplayer, survival, construction, and base fortification. Obviously, there are some pretty clear distinctions between the two games. But there seem to be plenty of folks out there who are worried that the intention behind Fallout 76 is similar to that of Metal Gear Survive, to exploit a popular name, build a popular game genre around it without consideration of the identity the name stands for, and dole out a cash grab. But if you ask me, as on the fence as I might be about Fallout 76, as cautious as I am about my optimism for that game, I don't think it's fair to say that it's basically Fallout's version of Metal Gear Survive. While I can see why some people would draw some parallels on the surface level, if you look at the circumstances surrounding both games, you'll see that we're dealing with very different situations. Let's start with the fact that Fallout 76 is actually being developed in tandem with the core Bethesda Game Studios team. The game is being made in collaboration between the main branch in Maryland and their newest subsidiary in Austin. Todd Howard, who's been the creative head of Bethesda Game Studios project since basically Morrowind, is still supervising this new project. In fact, his role in Fallout 76 is that of game director, meaning he's not just an overseer, he's deeply involved in its development. This is all a stark contrast from Metal Gear Survive, which was developed by remnants of the old Kojima productions that Konami neutered and dismantled. Hideo Kojima, who's led all the mainline Metal Gear entries since the series' conception, was in no way, shape, or form involved in Survive's development, having left Konami at that point to form his own studio, whereas Fallout 76 is being developed by the core team and led by the creative lead responsible for the studio's current success. Metal Gear Survive was developed by a team that one can hardly call the same Kojima productions we once knew and loved. Speaking of mainline, let's not forget that Fallout 76 is, narratively speaking, a mainline entry in the Fallout series, whereas Metal Gear Survive made up some bullshit about interdimensional portals opening up during the events of Ground Zeroes to set up this utterly ridiculous premise even by Metal Gear standards. Fallout 76's storyline will act as a genuine prequel that will allow players to explore an uncharted time period, just a mere 25 years after the nuclear war devastated the planet. Unlike Metal Gear Survive, which offers no canonical narrative value whatsoever from beginning to end, which arguably shits on Metal Gear canon, which is at best ill-conceived fanfiction, Fallout 76 has the potential to give us a proper glimpse of a setting within the Fallout lore that will genuinely expand our knowledge of this universe. This is in large part possible because Bethesda still maintains its key staff members and creative heads, whereas what's left of Kojima Productions is but a shadow of its former self. Which brings me to my next point. Unlike Metal Gear, Fallout still has a proper future. Let's not mince words here. The second Hideo Kojima was kicked off of Metal Gear was the second the series as we know it died. I'm not saying there isn't potential for an interesting reinterpretation of the series by a new team, but Metal Gear will never be the same again without Kojima, without his unique unorthodox signature style and voice. There is not a single person in the world who can replicate how he thinks and how he does things. Not to mention that given Konami's history of releasing less than stellar entries after the departure of a franchise's original creator, whether we're talking about Castlevania or Silent Hill among others, it's hard to feel confident that the same won't happen for Metal Gear. Hell, one gander at what Konami has done with Metal Gear so far since they have gained creative control over it, the Snake Eater Pachinko and Metal Gear Survive, offers very clear glimpses on where their priorities lie. Unless Konami pulls a miracle in the not-so-distant future, most Metal Gear fans have given up on the hope that any kind of bright future awaits the beloved series. It's a whole other story with Bethesda and Fallout, on the other hand. Regardless of what you may think about Fallout 76, what mitigates anxiety over less traditional entries like this is the knowledge that there is more looming on the horizon. We know that there is a Fallout 5 coming. We know that we'll have titles like Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 to mull us over. We know that there is a future to look forward to. I have no doubt that Fallout 76 won't be for everyone, but we know that's okay because the more traditional Bethesda games, the more traditional Fallout entries created by the core team with the core leaders will be there waiting for us. And given the amicable relationship that Bethesda seems to share with parent company ZeniMax, given everyone for the most part seems to be on the same page, I hardly think a future awaits where Todd Howard will be unceremoniously ousted from the company he contributed so much to, and Bethesda Game Studios will be dismantled and in shambles. There is a sense of security with Bethesda that allows them to pursue side ventures, whereas confidence for Konami's ability to do right by Metal Gear has all but withered away. Alongside a sense of security, Bethesda is also retaining a sense of identity. Yes, Fallout 76 is an online survival RPG, which is different from the traditional single-player RPGs we have come to expect. But it's not as if the survival genre doesn't make sense for a series like Fallout. It isn't an utterly outlandish direction for the series, especially with Bethesda having put some thought into how this will all integrate from a narrative perspective. It's not as if Bethesda decided to focus on Battle Royale, Zombie Horde Shooter, or a genre that doesn't coincide with Fallout's overall identity, just because that's what sells. With Metal Gear Survive, on the other hand, Konami took what's traditionally a plot-heavy, stylized, stealth action game series at its core and turned it into this generic tower defense zombie shooter. They took Metal Gear and shoved it into a mold that does not fit, completely failing to capture any semblance of Metal Gear's identity and pursuing a quick cash grab instead. Nothing about Metal Gear Survive beyond the familiar game engine mechanics and assets used evoke any sense that this belongs anywhere near the Metal Gear universe. With Fallout 76, at least you can look at it and say that it does look like Fallout, that the Fallout identity can be felt, that it could belong somewhere, even if in a non-traditional way. It is worth keeping in mind, however, that there is still a lot we don't know about Fallout 76. Nobody seems to have gotten their hands on it, nobody knows how it plays or how all its systems come together, nobody knows if it lives up to the promise of featuring deep narrative elements despite being multiplayer focused, and nobody knows if it's a genuinely good Fallout game or a good game in general. We also know very little about the game's monetization model, which I think will define whether Fallout 76 really is a game with genuine intentions or whether it's being pushed out as a cash grab. But Bethesda did assure that microtransactions in Fallout 76 will be cosmetic only, that all purchasable items can be earned through gameplay, and that microtransactions will allow the studio to release free updates throughout the entirety of Fallout 76's lifespan.
Fallout 76 is a full-priced game, but the team is planning to support the game with free updates for years to come. The game will feature microtransactions, but Bethesda told us that these will only come in the form of cosmetics. Bethesda said that this is a crucial element of allowing them to support dedicated servers and keep DLC free, and that any purchasable cosmetics available will also be available to earn through gameplay.
So yeah, as long as in-game purchases are completely upfront, as long as they truly offer no gameplay advantages, and as long as they can still be earned by playing, as long as they don't pull a Metal Gear Survive and paywall character slots or some shit, it should be alright. All things considered, while I can see how some would draw comparisons between Fallout 76 and Metal Gear Survive, I think we're looking at apples and oranges here in terms of the creative team involved, the appropriateness of the genres they chose, the respect shown towards each franchise's identity, and the future that awaits. Personally speaking, I can't say I feel anywhere near the same level of frustration towards Fallout 76 as I did for Metal Gear Survive, even if I would have ultimately preferred a New Vegas-style single-player spin-off rather than an online survival RPG take on the Fallout series. These are all just one man's thoughts and opinions anyway. I'd love to hear what your take is on this comparison in the comments below. With that, I would like to end this news update. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy my content and would like to support this channel directly, consider donating on Patreon. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out!